everybody. I wasn't going to do any live streams this week because I'm getting over a really bad cold. Look, we got these amazing new photos, so of course we have to go over them. And my other coverage will be coming later today. Again, I'm a little behind because I was so sick yesterday. Thank you, Paul, for gifting those memberships. Thank you, Tennessee Shad, for gifting those memberships before we started. And even though this is a subscriber stream, so all subscribers may comment, we'll do a Q&A at the very end about this topic. But of course, as always, because it's the first stream of the week, I too shall gift the memberships. 5 memberships. I do it every week. And YouTube selects who they go to, but it goes to people who have turned on accept gifts. Thank you, Danny. Who have turned on accept gifts. And also, you have to interact a lot with the channel. All right? All right, so here we go, everybody. Thank you, Cat Shack. All right, so we're going to have a really good conversation. So as you might admit, as you might suspect, I don't love these looks. Hey, Drago, thank you. But I want to start out with some positivity. Let's start out with some positivity, everybody. All right, but you might be like, what's there to be positive about? Well, hold on. Cape appreciation, baby. Oh, I love the cape. The cape looks really good. All right, so here are some nice cape photos from where they're filming. That thing, I don't know how it moves like that. It's just so beautiful. It looks like it's CGI, man. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. That top photo, I think in particular, is just gorgeous. That reminds me of the beautiful, yeah, I can't believe it's not CGI. It looks like as good as like the Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman movies. It just looks so good. And the way, I mean, I like the way it fell on his back when we were looking at the first batch of photos. But here, when the wind catches that thing, I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. I just think it's stunning. So it looks really, really great. And so I think, yeah, when she lifted up the tank to Guy Ty, it looks that good. You guys are saying what? You're admiring Superman's cake as well? He's, you know, for those of you who don't know the lingo, he looks good in his shorts, let's just say. But yeah, I'm just really impressed with how good that cape looks. I mean, I could look at that cape all day long. It's gorgeous. All right, so that's some positivity. That's some positivity to put out there first. And then also the other thing that I think is nice, a nice little thing that I almost feel bad was given off in advance, was that Will Reeve, the son of the late Christopher Reeve, has a cameo in the film. He will be playing a reporter, and so I guess you'll see him doing a report. It's not a big part. It's, again, a cameo, but that's, of course, a nice nod to the late Christopher Reeve. I don't really know if it's fair, to say that means Christopher Reeve would approve of this movie. I think it's, it's somewhere between a nice thing to do and a little bit of a cheap trick. But because Will Reeve, by the way, is an actor, an aspiring actor. So I have mixed feelings on it. But it is a nice touch to have him in the movie. All right. So, hey, Bay. It's always so nice to see you. Thank you for gifting that. All right, now we can talk about the characters. Okay, so we're going to go through these. I want to start out with character points, and then we'll break down the actual looks themselves. I mean, story points. Because there's actually a lot of the story that's been revealed with these pictures. All right, so that's who we got a really good look at today. Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner, a.k.a. a Green Lantern. Now, these are the new characters that were promised in the movie. We've seen 3 of the 4. We still haven't seen Anthony Carrigan's Mr. Metamorpho, the guy on the right there. Really, I'm a big fan of Anthony Carrigan. I think he's very funny. The question remains if he'll be a member of this team or not, because he's not here, in these shots. But we'll see how he factors into the story. But so we've seen, I'm surprised that they would shoot this much outside so that we would see all of this, I would have liked to have it been revealed in an official manner. But, maybe they want people to have time to get used to it. We'll see. All right, so that's the one guy that's still missing. All right, so here you can see all the new characters that we've seen versus their comic book counterparts. Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and now Hawkgirl. Now, when I first saw Mr. Terrific's suit, I said, that looks terrific. I thought that his suit looked the best. However, I'm a little disappointed that it's not unique to him, and that instead, he has a variation on what is now the generic Justice League International suit. And so I think that kind of sucks for the Mr. Terrific character, particularly because his character was on point and looks like the actual comic book version. So now you're like, oh, well, it's not actually unique to him. It's just the company look. And they all just have slight alterations to it based on their characters. And we're going to talk about that even more when we dive into each of the characters and the character looks. But as for a story point, a number of people pointed out that on the middle of their costumes, in the chest area, okay, they have the Lordtech logo. Now, first off, I want to point out, you see this says, boy, how much did Samsung pay for that, by the way? They're the only real company in that photo. But Quitely and Sons Electronics is clearly a shout out to Frank Quitely, who, of course, is the artist on All-Star Superman, which is one of James Gunn's, one of the comics that he's been, showing as something that was influential to him. So we all love the comic book shout-outs. Those are always very nice. So yes, Lordtech. Who owns Lordtech? Well, that would be none other than Maxwell Lord, who was played by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 1984. But here she'll be played by Sean Gunn. Now, I got to tell you, with Sean Gunn and Nathan Fillion having such big roles in this movie, I think it does drag it down to just seeming like James Gunn's friends, Because, who else would cast these two guys in these roles besides James Gunn? I'll tell you who. Absolutely nobody. All right, so Sean Gunn is playing this character, Maxwell Lord. Now, to be fair, Maxwell Lord was not accurately portrayed in the Wonder Woman 1984 movie. He is a character who actually has mind control problems. Problems. Well, it's a problem for everybody else. Mind control. Sorry, I'm still getting over being very sick. Mind control powers, which makes his nose bleed when he uses it, as you can see there. Smoking a stogie, dripping a little blood. And of course, he's also famous for Wonder Woman snapping his neck. And at the time, you might recall, I was a little frustrated that in the Man of Steel movie, Superman had snapped Zod's neck, when I was frustrated that it was at the same time Wonder Woman had done that in the comics, and it was a little frustrating to see that move taken away from a female character. Also, Superman would never do that, but Wonder Woman would. And the whole point of that scene in the comics when Wonder Woman snaps Maxwell Lord's neck is that she's the only one in the Trinity who would actually do that. So in the comics, Maxwell Lord started out as a good guy who started the Justice League International. He was actually helpful in starting the Justice League itself, but he was up front in being behind the scenes with the Justice League International, financing them, etc. And then it was revealed that he was evil, which obviously is probably the path they're going to go here. But it seems weird to me that you would have Maxwell Lord and Lex Luthor in the same movie when they're variations on the same character, evil businessman. So that's weird to me. I don't understand why you would have Maxwell Lord and Lex Luthor in the same movie. I think they cancel each other out. And also, I got to tell you, looking at Nathan Fillion and Sean Gunn is just going to annoy me. Because I know that the only reason they're there is because they're friends with James Gunn. All right, so that's basically clearly you can see a big part of the character. All right, so hold on. All right. Then there's another little bit of a story that you can see here. So there was a video here of them actually filming the scene, and it's playing Starman by David Bowie. So in this scene, the Justice League International characters land in front of the crowd, and the kids ignore them. They're like, "We hate you." And then when Superman lands, all the kids run and greet him. So I thought that was interesting. Some people pointed out that it's a take on a famous comic book panel. That stuff's nice, but that doesn't make a movie. Nobody's going to see a silly, cheesy movie, okay, Is the Starman thing just added on? Well, maybe that is, but not not what's happening in the scene. That hasn't been added on, right? So I just feel like, I think comic book nods are nice, but I don't think that it saves a movie. Okay, like I think the movie should just be good, right? So everybody running and all these little kids being like, "We love you, Superman." Is that what makes Justice League International be like, wait a minute, are we the bad guys? And also, why would kids not like those other characters? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, why wouldn't someone be drawn to Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl? I can see nobody wanting to hug Guy Gardner. He looks like he should live super far away from a school. With the other characters, you would think that, some kids would be inspired by seeing themselves reflected in those heroes. So the fact that they would literally run past Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl to go and embrace Superman, it seems very staged to me. Hi, writer boy. And so that's just weird. I just don't understand it. It just seems bizarre. But we'll see what happens. All right. So we've got some other pictures to go over. So here's another photo. Here's everybody. Look at that guy in blue helping people out. Hilarious. I love it. All right. So here's the Justice League International, or whatever they're going to be called. I'm glad you guys liked my joke. Standing with Superman. Again, that cape looks so good. I would like a whole behind the scenes video on how they got the cape to look that good and move the way that it does. There, it almost looks like it has some kind of guidance built inside the cape, right? Like the lines are a little too stiff in some parts. But, it's amazing. Whoever built that cape, I wish they'd worked on everybody else's costume. Because it looks really, really good. All right, so I don't understand why Mr. Terrific has to wear that ridiculous apparatus to fly around. Let's take a closer look at it. What the heck is that? Hello, I'm right here. I don't like it. I feel he's cooler than that. It seems like a low-budget Iron Man kind of situation. And it just seems like it's too much going on. Like, it's just too much, Hold on. Okay? It's just too much. I don't know why. This is a guy who has orbs, I hope, flying around him. So, is it comics accurate, Sydney? I couldn't find any comics where he was using that. I guess it looks a little bit similar to the New Gods, what Orion flies around in. But, Metron, the Metron chair. But I just don't think it looks good. I think it just doesn't look cool enough. And I don't care even if it is from the comics. I just don't think it looks dignified enough for the character. All right, now here's another interesting question that one of you pointed out, and I wanted to share. Sorry, I still have a little bit of a sore throat. It is a behind the scenes, yesy, but that chair is in the movie, that's not going to be taken out digitally, okay? Mr. Terrific might not be able to fly, but I would think Mr. Terrific could come up with a cooler way to fly than that. I wish he would fly on like a little metal plate like Magneto did. The guy's got orbs flying around him. I don't understand why he can't come up with something that cool. The blue guy, I don't think the blue guy's Metamorpho Birdo, because he is adjusting the characters to help them stand straight up when they're flying. All right, so somebody pointed this out to me, and I thought it was a valid question. Look at the way these extras are dressed. And somebody asked me if this was a period piece. I don't believe it's a period piece, but I do think that it's meant to have like a timeless quality potentially, where, it does seem in some ways to reference the original Superman movie when that movie came out in the late 70s. And so it almost seems like an amalgam of the 1970s and then also today. So I'll be curious to see if that's the case, because look at the cars. The cars are not the 1970s, right? But yet the clothing is. So I'm curious to see what the style is. But it would explain some of the stylistic choices for our heroes, from Mr. Terrific to even maybe Guy Gardner. Although Guy Gardner, I don't think he's comics accurate enough, to be honest with you. All right, so let me get rid of this, and then let's talk about these suits. All right, so those are the story points. All right, so here we have the suits again. Now, I agree. I don't know why all these superheroes are wearing leather. If you were gonna, nobody plays professional sports wearing leather. So it's kind of odd that they would put leather on all these superheroes to run around in. I mean, it's a hot, sweaty day. Your suit's not even going to fit you anymore. I just think I think it's not great. Also, I don't know who on earth would fight crime wearing all white. That's why it's such a boss move when Emma Frost does it, because you know how dirty you're going to get? So, it just is like, it's crazy that it's not only leather, but white leather. Marduk points out that leather is protective, but Lordtech is doing their characters. Their costumes and supporting them. Lordtech couldn't come up with some kind of, material that would offer what they need. Even Wolverine in the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie isn't running around in leather. He's running around in a material that looks like it has some breathing. I will say, though, that this does continue to look very MCU. That's right, TJ. I think it's very MCU. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy. And the other thing that bothers me, which I think is interesting, I was going to say it a little bit later, but I'll say it here. Because these characters are all dressed in Lordtech and whatever the suit is for the Justice League International, it robs them of their very distinct backgrounds. Mr. Terrific is someone who's supposed to have come up with his own technology. Why would Mr. Terrific be working for Maxwell Lord? He has his own competing technology. I don't like that he's not on the same. Michael Holt should be on the same level as Maxwell Lord and Lex Luthor. Then, as for Guy Gardner, he's supposed to be coming from space. He's a space policeman. Why? His suit is supposed to be generated by space tech, by the ring. So I don't understand why he would just be wearing a company uniform. And then the same for Shiara Hall. Well, this is actually Kendra Saunders. But Kendra Saunders, her helmet should look like it comes from Thanagar. Instead, it looks like it's company issued. And then if that's the case, if these guys are supposed to be underscoring that they're corporate, well, then Superman's costume does not look distinct enough from the group. If that's the case, when you look at all of them, let me get the flying picture, Superman should look really different. Not just that he's not wearing the company colors, but his suit should look alien in nature then, instead of just like homemade versus corporate. So that, to me, I think bothers me a little bit. And it's the same problem that we've had for so long with Marvel, whereas all the Avengers look like they're in the exact same costume, right? Even though they're supposed to be, one is a god from Asgard, one is a character, they're all supposed to be these very different characters, and yet their outfits all look the same. So I think that, DC, we had hoped would at least have some difference in that, but that it has the same issue. All right, now let's talk about the original characters. Hey, Jay, happy birthday. All right. Oh, no, I ran out of water. All right, I'm going to continue on as best that I can. All right. Let's take a look at these characters. All right, so we'll start out with Guy Gardner. I have a really good shot of him. Where is he? There he is. Whew. There's Guy Gardner, and there's the comic book version of the character. All right, first off, as everybody pointed out, he has a distinct lack of green in a character that's called Green Lantern. All right, then as for his haircut, I gotta tell you, it's not dumb enough. The whole point of Guy Gardner is that he has this ridiculously stupid bowl cut, and he likes it. But I don't think this looks like enough of a bowl cut. I think it just looks like he's got unfortunate bangs. And I think that, the whole point of hiring Nathan Fillion is you think, who else would want to play this ridiculously dumb character? And let's just go full fool. Let's go full idiot. But they didn't, what is this? Trying to give Guy Gardner some dignity? Nobody wants Guy Gardner to have dignity. That's the entire opposite of the character. The guy is a walking toxic masculinity. And if James Gunn tries to make him heroic, I think some James Gunn superfans would like that, but it's not what the character's supposed to be. Guy Gardner is supposed to be like the worst of the worst, who occasionally comes around. He's just barely on the side of hero and sometimes does villainous stuff. So, also, as some people have pointed out, he's not in the best of shape. Now, if that's part of the character, well, then we'll allow it. But certainly hope they don't try and pass him off as someone who is in good shape. I mean, they did make a joke about Chris Pratt gaining back all of his weight as Star-Lord. So, hopefully they talk about the fact that, Guy Gardner doesn't seem to feel that he needs to go to the gym anymore. Yeah, it's the dad bod, but not even like in a good way. Like David Harbour, when he started out, he had a dad bod on Stranger Things, and everybody was like, I don't know, it works for him. It worked for David Harbour. Everybody was like, that dad bod is pretty nice. But here, it is just dad bod. So I'm surprised that they wouldn't, this is the costume department. I think they could cover that stuff up. So I guess obviously they don't want to. So, but at the same time, I don't think he's old enough to make that work. So, like some of you were pointing out Mr. Incredible. That's pretty good. I think that's fair. But yeah, he looked, also that's the other thing. Nathan Fillion looked pretty good. And, so it's got to be a choice. It's got to be a choice. But Guy Gardner was always in shape. He just had, part of what drives Guy Gardner is he would definitely be somebody who's in shape. But I just don't like the hair. I'd be like, if we're doing this, you got to do it. The hair's got to be really stupid. It's got to have the ridiculousness. Because that's who Guy Gardner is. He makes it work through his bravado. You're like, I can't believe you're walking around like that. He's like, of course I am. I look amazing. And you're like, all right, buddy. All right. Thanks, Oliver. All right. Then, Hawkgirl. Okay? So this is the Kendra Saunders version of the character, which is odd to me because that's not the most popular version of the character. It is the current version of the character in the comics, but nobody's really reading that comic. To this day, the most popular version of the character is from the Justice League animated series, who was involved in a wonderful romance with John Stewart Green Lantern. Everybody wants to see that. I don't understand. It's just like we all said, give us a Brainiac movie where Brainiac is the villain. And they said no. And then they were like, okay, well, how about, Shiara Hall and John Stewart romance? And they were like, no. Elia, I would love it if she was in the John Stewart, the Lanterns animated series, but then why have the other version here? That just makes no difference. It's just frustrating. All right, so not only was the romance beloved, okay, not only was the romance beloved on the animated series, Manco, I'm not going to take a water break. I appreciate it, but I'm just not going to do it because it's just going to slow down the stream. All right, I appreciate you guys. That's very kind of you, but I will get water afterwards. Okay. So this was the later version of the character when they decided for her not to have a mask. She looks fantastic. She looks really, really good. I loved this version of the character. I loved, and she's definitely dressed for comfort, but still looks good in her workout Lululemon attire. But then also her mace, as you might recall if you watched this show, was electrified. I hope she has wings. I hope they're going to add the wings in post. It is Kendra Saunders. It's Trevel, as I said. Maybe I will take a water break. Let's see. Let's see if I can keep going. All right, so I think this is the version of the character that most people wanted to see, but unfortunately, it's not the one that we're getting. All right, so let's talk about the one that we are. So there's a side look at the character, and let me go bring in the other one so you can see the character from the front. All right, here we go. All right. That looks awful. It's not very flattering, I'll tell you that. Isabela Merced is in great shape, but you'd never know it based on this costume. The helmet looks like a football helmet, but just with wings on it. And then I think that the boots and the white lining and the way that the belt cuts her off in the middle, just and the fact that Isabela Merced is not very tall, is just not flattering at all. So let's see here. And also I have to say, Isabela Merced, I think that she's a very James Gunn style of casting. She's, I think, very much a B-level actress. I think there are a lot of other Latina actresses, because, you know, they're doing the Kendra Saunders version of the character, who I think would have upgraded the role and the film. Whereas, you know, let's see what happens. We'll see what happens with the alien Romulus. We'll see if Isabela Merced, these movies turn her career around, or if she pulls them down to, unfortunately, her level. We'll see. Oh yeah, and she's also going to be in The Last of Us as well. Booking a lot of stuff. So, I mean, I hope we're all pleasantly surprised. But I don't think she's well cast. I will say her hair looks very nice. I think it looks great coming out at the back of the helmet. Very Hawkgirl. But Hawkgirl. It really should be Hawkwoman. I don't know. That sounds stupid. But Hawkgirl, I mean, she's a woman. So that's kind of weird. All right. So anyway, that's my thoughts on these costumes. Let me get the other photo up. I'm going to get the one that has all the characters with the comics, so you can kind of really see what they're supposed to look like. So yeah, so I mean, I continue to think this looks like around a Hawk Lady kind of works, Denzel. Jenna Ortega would have been interesting. I think, you know, Jack, that's a good idea. Movies, TV reviews. Oh, is that Jack? I think that might be somebody else. Oh, Jack is my reviews. Yeah, movies, TV reviews. Jenna Ortega would have been a nice choice. There's just a lot of actresses working today who I think would have done a really nice job. I think this continues to look like around a $600 million movie, in the same vein as the first Man of Steel, interestingly enough. That's right, Shahar. Poor Millie Alcock. But, you know, I don't know how much other work that she's being offered. But I mean, we'll see how the trailer looks. We might all change our mind when we see the trailer and go, oh my gosh, that looks incredible. And as I said, let's bring up the cape to keep this somewhat positive. Where's the cape? Let me get it. Let me get that gorgeous cape shot, which makes me so happy. Let's bring that up there, because that really is beautiful. You know, that gives me hope that it could be really good. When will we see a trailer? It doesn't come out until July. It comes out a year from now. So I don't think you're going to see a trailer until the earliest, like around the holidays, probably. But yeah, Tenerife, I'm glad you caught up. But yeah, so I mean, I think they just don't look good enough. I mean, they don't look awful, but they just don't look good enough. Oh, you guys want a poll, Rashad? I'll do a poll while we do the Q&A. Okay, hold on. What do you think of these costumes so far? Love them. A little worried, but let's see trailer. A little worried. One second, I gotta get enough. A little worried, but let's see trailer. But trailer. I have to just do a question mark there. Little worried, but trailer, and then hate them. I think. What do you guys think? Only 3 options. So let me ask you if you have any suggested categories, because sometimes I put up the poll and then someone has a fantastic idea for a category after I've pressed vote. All right, I'm just waiting to see. I think you guys are pretty good. Okay. All right, so we'll do those 3. Anyone could technically chat if they just hit subscribe. But anyone can vote in the poll. All right, so let's, thank you, Cat Shack. I don't know if I thanked you for gifting a membership. And again, I've told you before, I suspect that I will enjoy this film, but I do not know if the general public will care. You know, because I do think that the general public is superheroed out. Who are just going to be like, you know. I mean, I think I'll see it. I think I'll appreciate it. And I think it might not be the Superman movie I was looking for, but it's a Superman movie I will accept. And I also think that, as I said before, that this is clearly being made for the guys in the back of the comic book shop. And they'll love it and defend it to the death. Also, James Gunn has very strong supporters. So it's going to be contentious. It's going to be a difficult spot to be in. You're going to see the clash of the Snyder fans versus the Gunn fans. And we'll just see how it goes. But the real question is at the end of the day, if the general public has any interest in this. I mean, I think it has some competition. Let me go and see. Let me check the the calendar. I think there's some big movies, as I recall, coming out right around it, which is going to complicate matters for it. Oh, that's right. Jurassic World 4 comes out the week beforehand. Oh, ScarJo with dinosaurs and a lot of hot guys. That's going to be pretty great. And then the Fantastic Four comes out just 2 weeks later. Oh, although I don't know about the Fantastic Four. I think the Fantastic Four might be too retro. So they might just hurt each other, to be honest with you. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm not totally sold on the Fantastic Four just yet. I think they're going way too far into the retro category, which is weird because James Gunn went retro, as you can see from the extras, and then Fantastic Four is going retro to the 60s, and we're all going to be like, why did you guys all go retro at the same time? Let's see here. I think there's not too much besides those, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, Q&A time. Let me put up the Q&A section. All right, you can ask me anything you'd like for 10 minutes, which means we'll just do till 3:20. Can you guys not see the poll? That's so weird. Weird, YouTube. Okay. If you can, that's weird if you can't see the poll. The poll is right at the top. All right, let me answer these questions. Oh, Jason, there's Jason who sent me the question about the extras. My pleasure. I was happy to include your comment. Oh, thanks, Terry. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. Let's see here. Nim the Rascal says Fantastic Four has a better cast, though. It does have a better cast. I would agree with that. Let's see here. Steven says, these characters seem just like props for Superman and not being presented in their best light, where you would want to see them in other projects in DC. I think might be a little bit too early to tell that, but yeah, I think that's why they went with the characters that they chose, because they are not top tier characters. Although I am very disappointed with Mr. Terrific. I feel he has the potential to be top tier, so I don't not like him being stuck in this group. I think Mr. Terrific has the capability to be an A-list character. Travis, hey, happy 4th to you as well. We're only doing questions about Superman. Let's see here. Dancing Dog 60, why did your super chat vanish? Oh, it might have had a blocked word in it. That might have been an issue. Jay says, could these just be placeholder suits since they have the Lordtech symbol and they get better suits later on? Maybe, very possible. But I think at the same time, it's like, why would they take off their original suits to put on these corporate suits? James, Fantastic Four starts filming, Kevin Feige said, literally the day after Comic-Con. Okay, let's see here. Rashad said, too many characters in a movie that's supposed to introduce the new Superman and get the new DC universe started. The cape is the only good thing here. I do agree that there aren't enough, there are too many characters and there are too many non-Superman characters in the movie. Let's see here. Can you guys not see the poll? Let's see here. Hold on, wait a minute. I wonder why the poll is not working. That's weird. Let's see here. Oh, thanks for gifting a membership, Paralysis. Let's see here. George says, what did you think of Mr. Terrific with this? Oh, I know what the problem is. Let me redo it. It has a blocked word in it. Okay, hold on. What do you think of these suits? Love them. Worried, but let's see trailer. And then do not like them. Do not care for them. All right, there, that should work. Let's see if that works. Okay, I bet you that works. Let's try it again. All right, let's see if that works. Let me go back. I missed a lot of these questions. We'll see if that, I hope you guys can see it now. Okay. All right, so the music lawyer says they're shooting outside my apartment right now. The cape looks good, billowing in the wind. Been fun seeing how the sausage gets made, so many extras. That's awesome, musical lawyer. I'm glad you have a front row seat. Deshaun says, if you think that it's a $600 million movie, then do you suspect they're overspending on production? Yeah, I think they probably feel that Superman would be a $1 billion movie. But, you know, not even any of the Zack Snyder movies were able to gross that much, I don't believe. I mean, only Aquaman made $1 billion. But that was brighter as well in colors. I'm not sure what the budget is exactly. I think they just made a lot of mistakes. I would not have started with Superman unless you were doing a Justice League movie out of the gate. I just think that Superman has been historically a tough sell. Christopher 7 says, are we sure this is Justice League International instead of the Terrifics? It's such a weird decision to put uniforms in the Justice League. I don't think it can be the Terrifics because of the Lordtech logo from Maxwell Lord. So I think it's got to be Justice League International, which Guy Gardner was famously a member of. Ricardo says, which character are you the most excited about? Well, besides Superman, which I'd like to see them get right, and again, I love that cape, I'm most excited about Mr. Terrific, as I said, because I feel there's a lot of potential for the character. Which is why I've been like so adamant about them getting it right. Brennan says, do you think Metamorpho will be VFX or practical? That's a great question. I think he'll be a lot of VFX, which maybe why we don't see him here, perhaps. But that would also, I think, be a little bit of a waste of Anthony Kerrigan. But maybe they'll get it right. I want to remind you that I liked last two James Gunn projects. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 3 quite a bit, and I also really liked his Christmas special. Sanjeet said, do you think the set leaks are helping in Gunn's favor? I do not, actually. I think they're not helping, and I think that I would have not shot these things. I don't think shooting actually in Cleveland, Ohio does enough for the movie to make these leaks worth it. Jacob feels that it's the opposite. It's a movie made to appeal to everyone and not for hardcore fans, and that's why I think it's going to be super mid and not the Superman that we want or need. We need classic Superman. I don't know. Do we need I don't know. I think Superman is such a hard character because I think that he's hard to get behind because, you know, I think that he deals very much like in, you know, good versus evil, and we live in a more complex world today, which is why I said that, you know, I think the most interesting thing, the way to interpret Superman today is how he doesn't totally fit in today's world. Let's see here. Green Lantern's Light says, do we know how they are all supposed to meet? I told you that the rumor, I don't know why the poll isn't working. That's so weird. I told you that the rumor is that Superman is at odds with the other heroes. And clearly because he's like an independent agent, and most heroes obviously are working with some kind of billionaire, right? Maybe that'll be a take on today with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. But, you know, Superman is an independent agent, and that's why he's considered so dangerous by the powers that be, because they don't control him. And especially because, as you can see, he's so beloved by the kids. So I think that that's kind of the setup from what I've heard. Let's see here. Mr. Magic, I don't think they're red shirt characters. I don't think that, James Gunn doesn't seem to be making that type of movie. I mean, then he would just be doing the Suicide Squad. It will be okay, says, I feel sorry for the Fantastic Four. The Incredibles were retro but stylized. I think I would not go retro with either of these properties. People actually do not love retro. Thank you, Charlie Flicks Fix. Let's see here. Dancing Dog 60 says, I'm into this. I'm waiting to see the costumes in IMAX on screen with all the posts. Gunn can make a pretty looking movie, we all know. Yeah, you know, as I said, again, I expect to enjoy this film. Oh, hey, Charlie. Love to you, too. George Calsotis says it seems like Wonder Woman 1984. That's a scary and perhaps accurate, observation. Jamie says they should all work for Batman. As a big Batman fan, I would agree with you. He'll come in here and fix this operation up. I think that Mr. Terrific is supposed to maybe be filling that role here because they can't use Batman because Matt Reeves said no, and then they haven't established their own Batman just yet. But, I hope Mr. Terrific is done well. Oh, somebody asked me what I thought about with the Mr. Terrific with the crypto treats. I just hope for James Gunn's sake that he wrote that respectfully. For those of you who don't know, there are photos of Mr. Terrific trying to coax crypto by running around with a box of dog treats to get his attention. Let's see here. Trevor says, does this make you worried for the HBO Lanterns show? Actually, it doesn't, because the talent behind the Lanterns show is so strong with Damon Lindelof and the guy behind Ozark that I think those guys will make sure that the show is good. And even Tom King, hopefully because Tom King isn't the lead creative, I think Tom King has some good ideas, to be honest with you. So I think that if he can just be kept under control, I think that he would be a benefit to that show. I did not like James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. I disliked it immensely. And I had to fight with a bunch of people over it. It was awful. I just said I didn't like it. And that was apparently not allowed. Haunted Autumn, I know that Cleveland is the birthplace of Superman, but I don't think it's worth all these leaks. Ender Warlock says, do you think Maxwell Lord and Mr. Terrific are business partners? Lord invests in Mr. Terrific's tech, explains why they have jackets with Lord's name on it. I just don't think that the Mr. Terrific character would fall for that. Mr. Terrific is supposed to be really great. And the fact that he would be not, equal partners with Maxwell Lord, and then if that's the case, why don't they have a company that's, Holt Lord? J.A. says he went full James Gunn with these suits. They're very Marvel. Brightside Dylan says, what's up? Beyond the trailer, I will assume that's your real name. What are your thoughts on VHS collecting, and do you still collect tapes? I don't collect any physical media because I had a big mold problem many years ago, as some of you know, and I lost all my belongings. So I've become very immaterial, and I don't collect anything. Let's see here. All right. Did I get your chat, Oliver? Oh, Dancing Dog 60 says fans didn't like the Joker and Ledger set pictures. Well, I have to say, that's a fair point, but at least they tried something really different there, and that's why people didn't like that. You know? I think that might have been, but then, at least the risks were being taken. This does look very safe. Heinrich says, thank you, Heinrich, do you think there's a chance that this is now the Superman crossing over with Pattinson? Matt Reeves said no, that he wouldn't allow it, so it can't be. Although it does seem like they're in the same world, don't you think? Mm-hmm. All right, let me close the poll. All right. I wonder what was going on at the poll today. That's very weird. All right, 56% of you are worried, but let's see the trailer. 32% of you really do not like them, and only 11% of you, well, very few of you could vote, it seems, but only 11% love these costumes. Hey, AD, yes, you can chat. All right, so thank you very much for joining in on today's live stream. I had a wonderful time talking about this with you. I'm going to break down the Acolyte for later today. That'll be coming up next. And then also reviews for Maxine and Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, either also today or tomorrow. All right, everybody. Have a great 4th of July holiday. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.